having a consistent filming setup, why would that make any sense? Hello, my name is Mildly Gothic. If you're new here, welcome to my weird little corner of the internet. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for spending some more time with me. And today is not a lot. The plan for this was going to be, how did I put together my build book? And I had a vision in my head of like nice B-roll. If you can hear the cat scratching the cat scratcher, I'm sorry. I'm obviously not in my usual filming setup. I had this incredible vision of like these B-roll shots of like probably me like working and like thinking on the computer, maybe screen recording, you know, my process, these little bits. And then I didn't do any of that filming, any of that process. And so I'm here to kind of talk about what I found and how I put it together. And actually it is currently ready for printing, or ready to be picked up. I got the email like 10 minutes ago that my build book is ready to be picked up. I am printing it through Staples in their professional printing because you can get the little binding and everything on it. So full color, I did the coil binding, but obviously in order to get something printed, I had to have something to print. So I had to put together this build book. If you want to stick around for the build book portion, I'd appreciate it. If you want to watch me put myself into Beetlejuice again, I'll try to remember to put the timestamp on screen of where that happens, because I did do a final full cosplay try-on before the convention because I didn't want the first time I put the wig on my head to be convention day. So you can skip to that if you don't want to hear about how I did this whole build book process. But for this, the intention of a build book is kind of when I am not there to speak to what I did and how I put it together, that it is photo evidence of two things. One, that I am actually the person who put this together and I can prove what parts I did put together and what parts I didn't. And two, how I actually put it together at all. First thing was thinking about breaking out the cosplay into its different pieces. So immediately I have two pieces. I have the suit and I have the sandworm. And so those were kind of my two general, but I also knew it was going to get a lot more specific than that because of the suit. There's the outside suit, and then there's the undershirt, and then there's all of the embellishments. So the dyeing and the fake moss, then there's the gloves that I made, then there's the bow tie, and the fake arm that went in the sleeve. And so that's essentially all the categories that I broke it up into, and also the wig. I did the wig separately. I did do some research for what a build book should look like or how you should start. And I found a really fun comment on Reddit that said you should try to make your build book look like it belongs in the world. And so I only took this to heart with the cover. I decided to make it the handbook for the making of Beetlejuice and mimic it after the handbook for the recently deceased, since that fits perfectly within the universe of Beetlejuice. I did all of this in Canva for free. If you've never used Canva, it's pretty good. It's a little annoying if you don't have a pro account sometimes. Some of the features that like seem like they'd be best to use are only in a pro account, which is like really annoying. But I was able to do everything I needed for free. I spent a lot of time figuring out the font, and I decided to do this weird little blobby, because like there's a blob on the handbook for the recently deceased, and I wanted to keep that. And Canva has this feature called frames, which are cool. And so I was then, though, I couldn't find one that really fit, and I didn't want just one. I have two things. I have the sandworm and I have the suit. So I wanted at least two photos there, but then I couldn't find just two blobs that like fit together in the shape of the blob that I wanted. I spent probably more time than I really should have trying to get the cover sorted, but I ended up finding three blobby frames that kind of work together, and I put one photo of Beetlejuice, one photo of the sandworm, and then one photo of the sandworm kind of in progress when all I had was the worm. So that's what the cover looks like, and I'm really, really happy with it. Immediately before we get to the table of contents, the second page is reference images. And so that is, when you look at the cover, when you open it up, you can see kind of what I was trying to achieve. It is very hard to find reference images of Beetlejuice in the full wedding suit. It's all kind of cropped up. And so I just picked two different pictures of that, and then two different angles of the sandworm to kind of show off different details like the fin on the back of its head and also the black and white striping on the teeth. Those are some details that I thought it was important to capture, since they are details that I took the time to include in my cosplay. So, title, reference images, then we get to the table of contents. Because I did number my pages, I wanted it to be kind of straightforward so you could find what you were looking for. And I included some pictures of the final product, including what it looked like back in Halloween and what it looks like now, just to kind of fill up some space. I also personally felt like I should include a disclaimer of kind of why some of the images may be the way they are. So I did not do a good job of taking pictures as I was doing this process, but here's the great thing. I recorded all of it. So I have videos, and I keep my videos. I don't delete. I delete them from my Google Clouds, but I keep them like in a separate storage device. And so I have that, and I can go through it, but sometimes it's really, really hard to get a clear still from a video. So I did my absolute best, but I know some of the images are probably a little blurry. So I put a disclaimer, linking my YouTube channel, mentioning that there's a full playlist if they want proof of that. And just kind of a caveat of, I'm sorry if some of these photos are blurry. They're all taken as stills from just videos. I felt like I should say that. I also feel like I tend to over-explain things, so was it probably necessary? No. Did I still include it? Yes. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's important. But the wig, I included just one page for the wig, and I went from explaining, like, start to finish. Here's the wig I started with. I even included my failed dye attempts because it is kind of important to the story of how the wig got to the state it's in, including sewing on the moss and all of the embellishments. And after the wig, I think I did the suit, and I cover how I patterned and put the suit together, and then the undershirt, and then the embellishments. The fake arm and the bow tie were grouped together, then the gloves, and the last thing was the sandworm. My entire thought process when approaching this was, how do I show them how I got from point A to point B? How do I show them the steps that I went to and the decisions I made, and maybe why I made some of those decisions? So I patterned the suit off of a suit, like dress clothes that I do have. I have the jacket and I have the pants, and I made my pattern from that. But I modified the pattern. The pocket flaps are not the same. I shortened the jacket because it was way too long, especially it was gonna be weird with the sandworm. I actually had to lengthen the pants. I made the pants bigger because I wanted a little bit boxier, more masculine fit. So there are things I modified about the pattern, and those are important to say. That's not just, I use these clothes to make this pattern, and from that I made the suit. There's that extra bit in there that I even modified the pattern to get the suit to be the final product it was. So all of those like little decisions, things that I made that seriously influenced or impacted the outcome of this project, I wanted to mention. So I made the bow tie completely from scratch, or I needed to highlight things I didn't make from scratch, which for this cosplay, the only component I did not make from scratch is the undershirt. However, it is heavily modified. So there's pictures in the build book that show the way it's cut, that show what I did with the pieces of fabric and how I added it. So when they look at the sleeve, because one of the things that judges always do is flip your hems. So when they look at the cuffs, they're gonna be like, these cuffs were machine made. And I'll be like, yes, but the frill around the cuffs was not. The ruffles on the chest were not. I made all of those, I modified all of those. However, yes, the collar, the buttons, and the cuffs, like the base of those parts of the shirt, were purchased. So the only other thing I didn't purchase on this cosplay were my shoes. Everything else, I mean, I bought the gloves and I modified the gloves. So the reason it's important to call that out, if you don't know, cosplay contests, specifically craftsmanship contests, typically have a threshold you have to meet of how much you made yourself, which for the local convention I'm going to is 70%, I think. I will double check. It could be 75. It is not required you make everything. They're not expecting you to make your undergarments. They're not expecting you to make your shoes. You can. Sarah Spaceman talks about how when she was a judge at one point, someone did make sure to mention that they made their own shoes, because that's really cool. The whole point of like showing this cosplay off is the craftsmanship that went into it, the decision, the time, the effort. and the build book is supposed to be that testament to what I've done when I'm not there. So my grandiose plan for showing you how I made the build book did not happen whatsoever, but I'm hoping I can at least explain why I put it together the way I did and some of the choices. The last part of this is going to be me doing a full cosplay try-on. That is trying everything on start to finish and making sure that I, one, can put it on with the glove, and two, that everything fits and works and I'm not gonna have any issues. One of the biggest things I was concerned about was the wig, which you'll hear me talk about a lot because I went and spent money on wig glue that I didn't end up needing, but now I just have. So I will go to me in the past where I will talk about the cosplay try-on. Hi, hello, welcome to my guest bathroom. Apologies because the audio is probably not gonna be too good, but we're doing a full outfit try-on. And the main reason for this is so that I can practice the makeup with the wig before the convention. Now, I am realizing I don't know where my wig glue is, so I gotta go find that. But I just want to figure out how to deal with the wig and, you know, the hairline and all of that jazz before the day of the convention so that I am not panicking the day of. So I have Beetlejuice all here with me. The sandworm is over there. We've got everything in here. I'm in this. This is gonna be my undershirt, so I will be wearing this underneath the suit jacket. Mostly because the way it is kind of cut, it may pull up kind of in the back and leave a little bit of a midriff, and Beetlejuice is not one to show his midriff, so I say. And we are going to figure it out. So yeah, welcome to chaos of doing the Beetlejuice makeup part 2, wig boogaloo. We're gonna figure this out, so woo! Hello. So it's the same day, several hours later, because I couldn't find my wig glue. I bought these little sticks on Amazon that are basically supposed to be pen applicators that looked so much easier than this. But this is what I have now. It's a massive tube of got-to-be glue. I have the wig remover spray. I also have some styling gel because, as you can tell, we're frizzy. So I'm going to do the Beetlejuice makeup first because I'm thinking to the people who I know who wear wigs most frequently that I see, which is drag queens. I watch a lot of Drag Race, and they always do their full face of makeup and then apply the wig. So that's what we're gonna do, making sure to kind of leave a gap at my hairline, because I'm assuming that basically I'll probably end up removing the product from like right around my hairline, wherever I want the wig to sit. So that's how I'm going to approach it. Basically, we're just not going to glue down. We're not going to glue the wig. We are not going to put makeup where I think I'm going to glue the wig. So that's the way that I'm going to approach this. So first things first is we're going to get into Beetlejuice. Only change is I'm not actually planning on gluing any fake moss to my face for the convention because that sounds like a nightmare. I didn't really figure it out well for Halloween. It fell off my face when I did photos, and so I didn't end up wearing it on Halloween, and I actually thought it looked okay. I just used a lot more black paint to kind of create some of that variation. So that's my plan for today. I'm gonna do a little bit of moss around my hairline, mostly just to bring in what's on the wig into my face, so probably just a little bit around the edges of my face. I know that kind of contradicts with what I just said about not putting makeup on the edge of my face. This is why we're doing this now and not by the convention, so that if I need to, I can do a few more tries. This is the Sunday. The convention is, when I will be wearing this cosplay is next Saturday, so I have a week to figure this out. So technically, if I need to, I can do this 7 more times. Technically. I don't think we're gonna need that, but I'm going to do my big classic Beetlejuice eyeballs. I don't feel like making my eyebrows go away, so I'm just gonna use those as part of my face, which is again is kind of why I want to shift the forehead up if possible. And then we're gonna do the grossness around the mouth and maybe a little bit down on the side of my cheeks. So yeah, and if this all goes well, if the wig goes well, then I'm planning on put this whole thing on and I'm gonna take some new pictures. So I'm excited because I need them for the end of my build book, because the only photos I have of me in the full outfit right now are from Halloween, which doesn't have the updated moss embellishments, which doesn't have the new wig. It still has that really gross old ugly one. So it is time to get into Beetlejuice face paint. I am not planning on recording this process because if you really want to watch me do this, I have the video on, I have a previous video on how I did that makeup. I'll come back and let you know if anything's changed, but I don't think it will. We're gonna do black as the dark around the outside, and then blue and then purple right in on my eyes to make it a little bit brighter, base the entire face out in white, and go from there. So yeah, if anything changes, I'll let you know, but until then, when I return, I will be Beetlejuiced. So I look ridiculous. So we've got a little, I found this, I think this came with one of the wigs I've ordered for something at some point somewhere, not entirely sure. Most of my hair is contained. I pinned my 2 French braids up on the back of my head. I am actually planning, I do need a haircut, and so I am planning on giving myself a haircut this week. I cut my own hair. I do the butterfly cut, so give yourself a little unicorn horn, give yourself a rhinoceros horn, cut this, you know, flip your head forward, comb it all up, cut the same amount off of both. So I am planning on doing that before the convention. Not that it's gonna change much, but I'm hoping it will just slightly reduce the amount of hair. So I do think I'll need to do a little bit more styling before the convention. Some of the top of the head is a little open. So I have the makeup on. I attempted to kind of leave that gap by my hairline, but I have micellar water and a paintbrush, so my plan is to literally just try to brush it away. But we're gonna attempt to put this on. This is the first time I have put on the wig with the makeup and with my hair actually properly done in a way to fit under the wig. Oh my god. I feel like I look like a little, like, I still feel like I look like Guy Fieri. Like, it's so just... Is that... Okay, first of all, the widow's peak is supposed to be centered, which it's not. Do I need glue? Okay, maybe on the edges for sure. You know what? I think I need to blend the moss into the hairline a little bit more, so maybe we'll do some more with, because I think, you know, bringing, okay, yeah, I know this wig is gonna fall off my head if I keep doing this. This is fine. Ooh, you don't want the wet. You don't want the wet. I thought about doing it all the way across my forehead initially, but then I was like, no, that'll be too much. You don't need to do that. Turns out I think I did need to do that. So you'll get to see a little bit more of the process in real time. I had just cleaned off my hands because I stamp off the extra water. So the way I do the stippling is I get it wet because these paints are water activated, but you don't want to, especially with the way I do the moss, I don't want it to be so wet when I put it on my face because it makes these big wet splotches instead of the nice stippling effect. So I try to make sure that my sponge isn't too wet when I do it, and sometimes I'm better at that than others. Okay, so let's see how that, oh, there's paint on my fingers. I don't want to get paint on my wig. I don't want to get not any more paint than is supposed to be there, because there's paint that's supposed to be there. Oh, that's okay. That's much better as far as how that sits and blends. Okay, so this is what I wanted to learn. I look, yeah, this is like young Beetlejuice when he's like hip and cool. This is not funky old man Beetlejuice. It's a little too uniform. It's giving this was probably not the right wig for this, but you know what, here we are. So we are going to again kind of pull the wig back a little bit. I'm going to clean up the edges where I think I'm going to glue it down, and then we will apply a little bit of glue. I don't think I need too much. It does actually sit on my head far better than I thought it would. Again, I've only really tested this with my hair not actually fully up, and I don't even have there's little secure tabs in the back that I don't even have on, and it feels really, really secure. So I really, maybe for today, I'm not going to, and maybe I don't need to. This again is far more stable than I thought it was going to be. Let's see if I can find those attachment points. Should I have tried this before I even worried about wig glue? Probably. Am I just manic about trying to make sure this thing is the best thing it possibly can be? Also, yes. Where is that? I found it on one side. Where is it over here? Hey, buddy. Where'd you go? Are you... Where? Oh, there it is. I am blind. Oh, I mean, I feel like that's very secure to the point that I don't know that I even need. Yeah, again, I think the only glue that I actually really need is like on these edges here where it just looks like it's pulling away, because I think that's almost actually like really uncomfortable. And so I think this wig will probably stay on just fine, and it might be nice for the convention to be able to take it off. The biggest thing I'll say is I'm already feeling better than I was in the wig that I wore on Halloween. I think this is still gonna be itchy. It's a wig. However, this is gonna be significantly less itchy than the other one. And technically I do want it to sit, I think that looks a lot better as far as Beetlejuice. Like I think it's like an imperceptible change. But if I don't glue it down, then I can actually shift it just slightly further back, which maybe means I should glue it down, but like he's not going anywhere. So actually we may be okay. And now I just have wig glue that I didn't need to worry about. So, you know what? It's fine. So let's get dressed.
The first part of this cosplay is the pants. I put those on off screen. The second part is the glove. I have to put the glove on first before I do anything with the undershirt. It's an opera length glove, so it goes all the way up to my elbow, which makes it really hard to put on once the dress shirt is already on. So glove, then undershirt, and really I should put the fake arm in before I put on the undershirt. Those hooks, while possible to get in when the undershirt is on, due to where it sits, because it's basically connecting to the back of the shoulder, it's really, really difficult, and you basically have to undo almost half of the buttons on the shirt in order to get the fake arm in after the point. Obviously, the zipper for the shoulder seam is open so that I can actually get my arm through to do the whole illusion side of things. It's a little annoying, but it's doable once I get the fake arm in there, button it all back up. I then put the bow tie on. This is a good point to do it. I'm not too restricted in my movement. I don't know, it made sense to me. Once the bow tie is on, then comes the jacket. And this is a weird part because I have to get my arm through the shoulder seam, and then also the fake arm and the sleeve ruffle through that shoulder, through that arm sleeve, and then my other arm into the jacket sleeve like normal to actually wear it. But once all of that is on, it's then time to put the sandworm on. Putting the sandworm on isn't too hard, but unfortunately this is where I start needing help. I can't do anything past this point on my own. So I get it up my arm as far as I can and really try to shove it all the way up to my shoulder. I then need to get it secured onto my wrist, which I can't do with the glove. So I need help to get it secured onto my wrist. And once it's secured onto my wrist, I again can't actually do any of the work to put the magnets on, so it takes a good bit of time. I didn't include all of that time because it's not really that interesting to get the magnets in place all the way around the jacket. Because I made the design choice of making them invisible from the outside, it means it takes a little bit of extra time to find them to actually put the sandworm in place. But once it's all good, the last step is the inner head, and then the sandworm is on, and I took some pictures.
Okay. I think this was a very successful test. I know, I said the convention's literally a week away. One of the things I don't have yet is the attachment point in the shoulder to make it so that my shoulder will not be visible. I'm planning on putting a loop here and a hook in the sandworm. It should take me all of 10 minutes and I'll probably get to it later tonight. But that is because as I'm moving my arm around, that sandworm doesn't exactly want to stay on my arm because my arms are a little chubby and I think they've gotten a little bigger since when I first made the sandworm, so it doesn't like to stay, but that's okay. We can just make a modification for that. So I hope this isn't too trippy right now. I'm obsessed with the gloves. I think in pictures the gloves look fantastic. I like the wig more when it's all put together, but hey, I did it, I dyed it, I made this monstrosity of a creation, and I think that's fine. I am going to die in this costume. My hairline is already itching like no one's fucking business because of the lace. So we did agree, my boyfriend agrees, that it looks a little bit better if the lace is shifted slightly backwards, which means it'll be more on my hairline than my hair, or more on my hair than my hairline. Another contributing factor is the fact that it's 85 degrees outside. So I just went outside in all of this. It's very hot. I'm not too concerned about it though. The convention is entirely inside, so we will be inside all day. My plan is on Friday to go book my prejudging time on Saturday, so I know exactly when I need to be ready, exactly when we're gonna get there, exactly how long I will be subjected to this. Another success. Oh, I forgot to plug my microphone in. Let me know if that changes anything. Another success. I was actually able to put all of this on by myself with the glove on. I was a little worried because these nails are really weird. And so like, it's one thing working with nails, which I had with Philippe Giorgio last year. It's another when these nails move because they're not actually attached to your real fingernails. Like fingertips, you can't actually use them for leverage or grabbing things like you would your actual fingernails. So that's really annoying. There's a few still tiny details. There's some paint scuffs on the sandworm heads that I want to paint their respective white and black paints. There's one section on the inner head that needs to be glued. The mouth joint broke open a little bit, so that needs to be glued. But overall, Beetlejuice is here. I think the wig, you know what, for what it is, I'm really happy with it. I think it looks ridiculous. I think it works, especially if I shift the hairline back a little bit. I think that works because that's what I wanted anyways, which may mean that, you know, I need some bobby pins to keep it in place, but I think I will survive. I've said this a lot. I think a lot. I don't know. I'm just kind of in awe. It's always weird seeing yourself in a makeup, especially with the fake arm illusion, because it's like, oh, look, I just have, here are my two arms, except, haha, there's a third one. So if you can't tell, I have a lot of fun in this outfit. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope people have fun with the cosplay. I will. And yeah, I can't wait to share with you what the convention was like and the results. So stay tuned. I don't know where this is coming as far as whether I've already covered the build book or I'm going to cover the build book. I'm assuming maybe in the middle because I just took some photos that I want to put in it. But either way, thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world. I am getting ever and ever closer to 1,000 subscribers, which feels like a crazy number. So if you have stumbled across this video and want to support some artsy chaos and stick around in my weird little corner of the internet, please subscribe. It means the world. I do this stuff for fun, and it's really cool to be able to share it with whoever chooses to watch. So thank you, whoever you are watching this. Out of all of the other content you could possibly be watching, thank you. And so with that, see ya! And with that, I don't believe I have anything else for you. I know this is a little bit of a weird video. There's a lot going on. My next, I'm doing online master's program, and so that next class just started up. So I've got that. We're finishing up painting some of the things in our house, finally unpacking a lot of the stuff. So there is so much going on, and also I am just perpetually nervous and excited about this convention and wearing this thing that I've worked for like 6 months of my life on. Like, I've spent so much time on this cosplay, and I'm really scared that no one's gonna care. You know, and it's I'm always my own worst critic, so not that I need external validation. I try to tell myself that I don't need external validation, but it is always nice. You can't deny that it's nice. But I'm incredibly proud of myself. I made a giant sandworm puppet from scratch that now just lives in my house, and I have a Beetlejuice suit that I completely made from scratch. And I even made sure it was modular in the way that I can wear just the suit without the sandworm. They are not dependent on each other. The detailing on this is really cool. I spent so much time on the painting and the appliques and really trying to get those to look appropriately dirty and disgusting. I styled a wig for the first time. I went through this whole process of dyeing the wig, styling it, sewing on embellishments into the wig itself to try to make it look more like the character. Is it a perfect wig? No. By no means is it the perfect wig for Beetlejuice. However, I think it's a lot better than the one I had for Halloween. Tell me what you think. Do you think the wig that I wore at Halloween or the wig that I made, that I put together this time, the one I dyed, which one do you think is better? Halloween or dyed wig? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I've learned so much, and I'm really excited. I hope that I can continue with my cosplay endeavors. This one has been relatively cheap because a lot of the smaller details have been paint related. However, the sandworm itself, because of all the EVA foam I needed for the head, that was a little expensive. So I'm not sure that I will continue immediately into another cosplay. These things take time and money, and I need to make sure that I am taking care of everything else in my life as well as maintaining things for fun. I have some fun ideas though that aren't cosplay, so there's plenty of art content and little crafty content coming. So thank you so much if you have been watching Beetlejuice from day one. If you have been watching this series since day one, leave me a never trust the living in the comments down below. That would mean the world to me. I think that'd be really cool. I'm rambling. I'm just incredibly proud of myself. I really hope that the contest goes well and that I have some great news to report next time, but you never know. They may just not drive with it. It may not meet whatever they are looking for, and if that happens, that's okay. I just now have a 10-foot, I think, sandworm in my house that I get to figure out what to do with, and I love that. So if you've stuck around at this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It truly means the world. Thank you for listening to my rambles, for spending time with me on my corner of the internet. It has been so lovely to have you. And with that, I will see you in the next one.